who happens to be my partner in the newfound direction to place Fuji music where it rightly and truly belongs. So many faces that may not like Wasiu. It's very, very unfortunate. You might not like me, but you can't change the will of God from my person. But it would rather be better you like me and you join hand with me to search for a better thing. Not only to the man Wasiu, to those before Wasiu, the man who established this, the man who is a pathfinder, the man who created opportunity for those of us who are enjoying today to have a forum where we can say we are practicing our trade. Ever since I started as a jewelry, then to the Fuji really, I started professionally when I was 15. And if I do not know calculation, I am 65 just a few days back. And I can see I put in 50 years of my life. And if no one see anything good in that, I see something beautiful in that. So I glorify Almighty God. There has never been a time me and my late boss ever share any animosity. No of that. Number one. Number two, and I stand to be corrected among entertainers, with the exception of Baba Ayinde Sabobe. I think I am the most closer person as a musician in the same act with him during his lifetime to date. I've served him gloriously. I learned a lot of rudiments of that business from him, and that pushes me forward today to be able to adjudge the very best in the life of Fuji music. Sikiru Ayinde Barristar first colloquium. Glory be to God Almighty. That either dead or living, Sikiru Ayinde Barristar will be the first musician, entertainer that the world colloquium will be used for. That means it's called another first. It's called another first, and this shall continue and shall outlive the days of us that started it. Another thing of note before we go to the business of today is to tell you in the last 2 years what we've been able to achieve when we started having waited 10 years. Why did we wait 10 years? We wait 10 years because there are a lot of ideas here and there. We need to sample, collect words from people. We need to seek knowledge from those that are very, very important in the trade of entertainment, arts, and culture, to be able to define a mode of what we should be doing to celebrate an enigma. Someone you believe no other thing can surpass him, to over-describe about the person. So it took me a longer time to seek support here and there. I called professionals, learned people, the fellows. I called majority of his personal people whom he never met during his lifetime, but they are dying of his music and his work. We sit down many times. I crisscross the world. Those of them in abroad, I find time to speak to them on the phone when it's necessary. We go to see each other. I go, I seek advice from people, and I waited on my time. So that is the journey, the first 10 years journey. And it's today I come out to say that 10 years wait really worth it. Because by the time we stepped out, our first showing after the 10th year prayer at his residence, the headquarters of Fuji, a place he had already chosen for himself while he was alive, Fuji Chamber. Immediately after we rose from that prayer of that time, we set the ball rolling. We set the ball rolling, and we started in earnest. That took us to the Alliance City, like Adenuga House at Ikoyi. This is where we first began the journey. Symposium was organized, and we do a lot of showing. We showcase names, very many names. Many people don't even know they exist in this journey of music. Right from Ajiwere, what is Ajiwere, what is Ajisai, up to this point that we find ourselves. And it gladdens my heart to see that all this thing is not something I can just sit in my sitting room and come up with without me calling other people, other participants to come in and join in with me. So to some ill's mind, you don't want to misstep. You don't listen, or you don't look into what critics sometimes has to say. They might be there to use it as a tactic to change your mind. They might be there to finish you completely, not to be able to have anything to do. So at the end of the day, permit me to welcome one of our living fathers, who is just walking in. The man we hope one day a thing like this will be set for him too. I like Colloquiums Ayinde. Welcome here. Why we take a little time to welcome him? So let me continue. So we start the ball rolling at the Alliance City, and we showcase many things. Symposium, showing, and other things follows. Many artists were called. Fuji musician, I think it's now the best of the time for all of you, wherever you might be, to recheck yourself and tap the inner part of you to wake up from slumber and rise in defense of what is truly yours and build on to better the Lord and the image. Why am I the Barristar was alive? I took up the challenge to be the one that puts many things together. I remember calling the meeting. That time, used my relationship with many young artists at that time. And with a collective on my side, minus Barristar, at first, we sat down somewhere at the Romance in the Bible to fashion out a way of coming together with us. And that gave rooms to me getting hold the next day to jumpstart what is now known as the running full-man Fuji Museum's job, where I did the writing of the document with my personal lawyer, Shola Bida. I think Mr. Bida was here. And Torayo, my secretary, doing the typing. And Sikiru was the one supervising and giving some ideas where it's necessary. And we fashioned out the constitution. We checked on Nigerian constitution, Nigerian Barristar constitution, and very many other constitutions of our social working and striving well to bring out something to fashion out a better future for our journey of music. That is my journey way back then. And after that, we came out with a document that we have to approve the corporate affairs to register and do very many things, which I did while I was writing the constitution. I did not infuse any words. I did not con any words. I did not put in dangerous words that would say Wasiu is taking credit away from Barristar, or Wasiu is doing any course, or is starting any new course in the course of Fuji music. Nothing was written. Nothing was incrementally done to either fix myself. I'm only doing my work for the man I love. I want to surprise him all my life. I want to keep showing him reason why he should believe I am loyal to his person. And I'm glad to God Almighty. achieve that, and then we go to register FUMA, and it becomes what it is, the journey so far. Now, permit me also to thank the presence of my brother, Idris Olonide, the Temple Organization. The support and push you gave me over the years, the result of it, first stage, is what we are seeing now again. I thank you immensely. Idris. God shall lead you, all your ways shall be open. Thank you so very much. In all, we have the next stage. The next stage is to get in touch with the leadership of our country, to have a proclamation, to have a declaration, to declare two things for us. To declare Sikiru Barristar is the man, and to also declare Fuji is the only indigenous African music that stays and comes to open up the middle and opportunity. And the leadership has agreed. So, let's all make it transparent, let everybody get in angry anywhere. Let everybody rest assured that it's either you join the train now, so that we will all take and share the credit in the end, or you continue to wait in there. I'm not going to beg anybody, but I can only speak to your mind, so that you know, if you all agree in that, Barristar has gone. One day Wasiu will go. Several of you two will go. But those who will leave this living for, will have a document, we have something. The people that started this country, that has gone, the record is there. The people that started America, that has gone, the record is there. I think America is on the 45th or 46th president. Someone started, he took #1 position. So that is what life is all about. The present president of Nigeria is not the first president of Nigeria. So leadership changes and life continues. So the only way you can make an impact in life is when you join hands with others to prepare a better book that will contain your name. I will successfully convince the leadership that shall be proclaimed in a short while. I have the joy to announce to you such proclamation will be made, citation will be set, Barristar will be set aside upon the fact that it's MFR. A day will be set aside to celebrate Barristar and celebrate the joy of Fuji, the grace of Fuji. And that will conclude my first stage of immortalizing the word, the Fuji, the joy of Fuji, and the man's joy of Barristar. Thank you very much. I give thanks to all our participants today, people that will be deliberating on the issue we put forward. I thank you all for coming. Wherever you can come from, I thank you. And the journey has just begun. Thank you. For those who have not heard that song, that's my new song. It's coming out next week. I've been working on it for so many years, but finally, you like the song, Abby? I'd like to welcome, ladies and gentlemen, one of the men that made me start listening to Fuji music, because in those days I used to love Ijo yo yo, Ijo yo yo.
Ladies and gentlemen, the irrepressible Chief Colloquiums Ayinde, that you all call. Are you afraid to call it? That you all call Kebenkwara or Allah? You're welcome, sir. God bless you. Thank you for coming to join us. I'd like to welcome. You know, one thing that Mayingo said that really gladdened my heart. You know, whenever you travel abroad, you hear Martin Luther King Jr. Day. You hear this person's day, that person's day. And it's time that we start celebrating our own heroes too. Because it's so grateful that in Nigeria now we have started celebrating Halloween. We have started celebrating American Day in Nigeria. So when days like Fuji Day, like Barry Day comes, we should be happy to embrace it. And one of those that will help us first push it in Lagos is here. Let me welcome the Honorable Commissioner for Tourism, Arts and Culture of the Center of Excellence and State of Aquatic Splendor, Princess Uzamat for Lashayo. Akin Yusuf. A round of applause for our ladies and gentlemen. Editor of Ovation International, Mike Effiong, I greet you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to start that which we have come to do. To give our first keynote speech, but permit me to welcome a professor of performance studies with particular emphasis in dance studies and practice. He holds a PhD in performance studies from the Institute of African Studies, University of Ibadan, Nigeria. His other qualifications are LLB honors in common law and LLM with copyright laws from the University of Ilorin, Nigeria. He was called to the Nigerian bar in 2009 and has a master's in business administration from the University of Ilorin, Nigeria. He's also into active practice, propagation, and sustenance of Nigeria dance culture. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome, to talk to us, one Nigerian that holds the singular honor of being the first Nigerian, the first professor of dance of the Faculty of Arts, first professor of dance in Yoruba history. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Jalil Olasupomi Ojuade. A round of applause for him, please. I'd like to welcome Dayo Odeyemi Barristar, who wrote a book on Agbaki and also Kemi Korede. Thank you very much.
I will try to respond because I'm sure you have mentioned a lot of people, but I will try to. His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, ably represented by the Honorable Commissioner, our revered and eminent traditional rulers here present, the Mayegun of Yoruba land, I call you Mayegun of the world, of the universe. I like to King Wasiu of Lasukoni Ayinde Wagwan. Baba, Chief Adisa, CFA. Alaji Colloquiums Ayinde, Baba Wanikwara. October Adebayo Olasoju, Chairman, Solo Local Government Development Authority. President, PG Musician Association of Nigeria, Puma, and the entire members. Fuji Opera, Temple, Gold Mine, the entire family members of Dr. Sikiru Ayinde, Barristar, highly respected fathers and mothers here present, distinguished members of the audience here present, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, I say good afternoon and welcome to today's colloquium. With all sense of humility and respect, I need to thank the organizers for the invitation extended to me to be a part of this historic and important event. I'm excited standing in front of this audience, particularly our Fuji minstrels, who are great music ambassadors that we are proud of. Thank you, and I'm indeed grateful for the honor and privilege. Today's presentation reminds me of my teenage years, the earlier part of my life, when we were to listen with rapt attention to sonorous voice of Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barristar as he releases new albums, which of course were filled with deep Yoruba language, tinted with riddles, metaphors, innuendos, lyrics that are direct or indirect and filled with great entertaining vibes. At that tender age, I had the privilege of attending numerous occasions like today's and others, where not only the singing prayers of Alhaji Agba was only displayed, but his adroit leg and body movements in action. I'm sure you have seen him dancing. As a matter of fact, his and that of King Sunny Ade are incomparable back then. All these reshaped my thinking and knowledge of music and dance as practice and profession, and clearly showed that it takes a committed soul to pitch tent in our creative world, which is an aspect of human existence. Unlike language that has syntax and semantics vary from one country and culture to culture, music has been said to be a universal language, as what seems to be a piece of good music in Angola and what seems to be a piece of bad music in Netherlands may remain bad music in Nigeria. The way Hallelujah Chorus by George Handel will sound in Taipei is the same way it will sound if played in Taraba, because sounds that are produced do not change much across cultures. So emotions and ideas can universally translated and understood. His Excellencies, invited guests, our music ambassadors here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, how I wish this presentation tagged Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Agbaje Lola Barristar's impactful musical exploits. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow was being done or showcased at an occasion celebrating the musical icon of our time, either through the joyful celebration of his life birthday, not posthumous, or a significant achievement while he was still alive. We shall then be able to understand better the veracity, complexity, and enormity of the work he has done in his creation of narratives around the world of Were as transformed to Fuji music journey. My presentation today further affirms that my youthful thought over 40 years ago, sitting consistently and patiently, listening to Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barristar's albums has been released. His dexterity in his use of language, weaving of syllables in song and blending same with admixture of instrumentations were extraordinary and amazing. Therefore, this session today will likely rest on its characterization using the 6 C's, 2 P's, and a T construct perceived through the prism of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I quietly broken them down as follows. The first one is to look at its compositions and renditions, followed by creativity and innovation, to be followed by composture and delivery. The next one is culture promotion and socialization quotient. Then we look at currency and relevance, followed by crusades, which will highlight its moral, social, religious, political, and economic crusades embedded in his lyrics. Then we look at philosophy and thematic depth. Then followed by performance practice. Then we look at his travels as Nigerian ambassador, which further exposed Fuji to the outside world. For a broader perspective and deep understanding of his travails and triumphs in the institutionalization of Fuji as a musical genre, let us take a peek into his bio. Mr. Fuji in proper context, content, and perspective. A peek into his bio. The late Ààrẹ Dr. Sikiru Ololade Adeyinka Ayinde Balogun, MFR, MLC, AIMA, undoubtedly was the creator and garrison commander in chief of Fiji music. A globally acclaimed title. He was born into the family of Agbade Salami at Ayeye in Ibadan and Salawe family of Lagos Island on February 9, 1948 at Iga, Salawe, but grew up in Mushin. In an interview he granted Consult Television as posted on YouTube on 04/12/2018. He narrated that his father was a popular musician in Ibadan while he was growing up in Lagos. He attended his elementary education at Mushin Mission School, Odiolo, Mushin, Lagos. He then proceeded to Yaba Polytechnic between 1961 and 1963. He became an Ajisari singer at tender age of 10 at Masawale area of Mushin. Sakara and Apala music were in vogue when he was growing up, particularly that of El Saka, Baba Olatunji Yusuf, and Haruna Ishola, which influenced his music career. Due to the religious and cultural factors, most of the Ajisari singers of his period either moved to journeys like Apala, Sakara, or other professions. He was signed on at the age of 18 strictly as an Ajisari performer alongside Soliside, Idowu Animashaun, and Morufu Akode. It was at this point that Mansuru Akode. It was at this point that he was confronted with which name to call his own type of music, whether to call it Fahiji music. But he remembered that there was released the same day King Sunny Ade released his in 1966 by the Niger Songs and African Song 2IC. He later joined the army in 1968 and fought at Odisha front, where he was wounded and sent back to resettlement center at Oshodi. He then retired from the army in 1974 to become a full-time musician. In 1976, after gaining wide acclaim with his 6th album, Ori Mi Ewo Ni Se O, he made Fiji music more popular through dedication, love, and interest. He was of the belief that anything worth doing at all is worth doing well, and he excelled all through. His characterization, composition, and rendition. Dr. Sikiru Ayinde Barristar was highly gifted and talented. His voice modulation could be likened to that of hard glass drum in creation of pitch, and switching to different forms based on the knowledge and expertise of the handler. He had mastery of Yoruba language, Arabic knowledge, and that of other tribes in Nigeria in particular. He knew when to express such in composition and renditions. He was a genius, and not only a fantastic composer, but a great musician. His ability to modulate his voice to different pitches was peculiar to him. His recitation of verses from the Holy Quran guarantees a firm base he brought in from Ajiwere. Essentially, Alhaji Agba was on-the-spot composer who sang spontaneously and effortlessly, and one of his striking traits of character was his open adoration of his mother, himself, and his band boys. Barristar's high-pitched and silvery voice that he creatively modulated as he deemed fit for that moment, alongside his gripping style of eulogizing himself and his mother, magnetized me to him. I completely agree with one of my academic sons, when he said, and I quote, "I particularly envied Sikiru Ayinde's genuine adoration of his mother, Aja Ode Sipao, where others could be pedestrian or not totally with it. A submissive listener who feel the passion, the pain, and the joy of mommy's boy attempting to envelope his love fully addressed to his mom in just a song. That was the man, Barristar. At any time, never he is an inexhaustive affection for his mother. For every time the late Mistro mentioned his mom's first name, Odere, in a song, his voice amazingly pitched differently with a superb, extraordinary instrument that supports it every time. Suffice to say that the love of a son for his mom is powerfully different, unexplainable, and incomparable.